Welcome to the Double Chins Wagon podcast, where Rae and Lindsey discuss the absurdities of being millennial moms in rural America and the challenges of living authentically. Please leave a review, subscribe, and interact with us by visiting doublechinswagon.com. Now we hope you enjoy the show.
This week is Spirit Week because homecoming is next weekend. So we're preparing because I feel like this should not surprise anybody. I obviously love Spirit Week. I always love Spirit Week. I definitely probably have way more fun with it than my kids do because they're losers who aren't as cool as me. Each class has their own decade.
Oh, God.
My piece class, their decade is the 80s.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And then Atticus, his decade is the 2000s, like the aughts, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But both of my kids are just like little Gosling, like, remakes. And so Atticus here is literally wearing some of Liam's clothes from the 2000s.
Nice.
It looks just like him, and it's freaking wild. Atticus, are you gonna come over here so Miss Lindsey can see? Check out his Jinko jeans. Turn around so they can see the embroidery. He's got his Star Wars shirt, which has the long sleeves sewed onto the short sleeves. You know what's up?
All the,
Yeah,
it's not even on the outside. It's all the way up
Nice.
the shoulder.
they're sewn together.
Like-
And he's got Liam's long high school hair. This is what my husband looked like in high school. I just think it's really important to note that if Liam and I knew each other in high school, we probably would not have dated.
Yeah.
This is 20-year-old William.
Did you see Molly has joined me today?
Holy.
She's so cute. Oh
I
yeah,
opened an envelope and there was a $100 bill in it, so that's fun.
That's fucking awesome. No notes.
Well, no, not really. But it's because a former coworker of mine wanted me to be a designated driver for a birthday party that she was having for someone, and
Mm-hmm.
gave one person a ride to her house, and that was it. That guy paid me, tipped me, but she felt bad that I kind of used my whole night waiting to hear. Yeah, because I had another party I went to in the neighborhood, and I was like, nope, can't have too much fun. I'm DD tonight. And then no one
Fucking
needed me.
assholes.
So I guess
Kill
this
them.
is her way of saying sorry, thank you.
Sorry.
God.
I want to tell a story because it is really beautiful. Our little community here, I was able to call someone and help to get him home when I wasn't here. So last night we went downstate. We went to Detroit to see Moulin Rouge. And it was very fun. Does one of your family need you?
Apparently, yes.
How do you own my candy corn?
Oh, it's in my purse upstairs. Yeah. Love you. Oh, come and show the camera your face real quick. Because it's cool.
Where?
Right there. Just look.
Buddy, that is so cool.
Yay.
What'd you do today?
A phone party for my school.
Very
A phone
cool.
party. Hell
Yeah.
yeah. Looking awesome.
Yeah, you do look awesome. Was it super fun?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Okay.
Excellent.
Now you can go up.
Need to access.
No.
I don't
Yay.
know how to start working.
Okay.
Our lives as parents. Okay. So we went to Detroit and it's like, I don't know, 1:30. I've fallen asleep. We're all listening to music. And there's so much going on. Everyone is drinking. I've just kind of nodded off because I was laying down on the couch. And so then I hear Liam talking on the phone. And I'm like, who the fuck is he talking to at 1:30 in the morning? It was Glenn. Glenn is my bio dad. Just, I don't know if we've talked about that before.
Not to the crowd. No.
So he called my phone first, but my phone was plugged in across a room. And so Glenn then calls Liam because I didn't answer. And I'm hearing half of the conversation because I'm only hearing half of the things that Liam's saying.
Yeah. So you're hearing a quarter of the conversation.
The handful of bits that I picked up are like, well, is it bleeding a lot? And then the next thing I hear him say is, well, Atticus doesn't have his license yet, but he knows how to drive. And I'm
Wow.
then thinking to myself, like, we have our car in Detroit. And so I'm like, I don't think whatever you're trying to sign him up for is a good idea. So he wouldn't be dead. He was fine.
So, I mean, okay,
So,
I don't even
let
know
me
how this. I just have one question. If there's blood and if he cannot drive, why is an ambulance not considered in this?
getting there.
Okay.
So I am the least intoxicated. Okay.
But
Which
the
is,
most
I was
sleeping.
it's the most sleeping for sure. Least intoxicated, most sleeping. So I'm hearing part of this conversation, and Liam's like, you know what? I'm really drunk. I'm just going to give you to Rae. And then he hands me the phone. No fucking clue who's on it. No idea what's going on. And I'm like half awake. So then Glenn is like, okay, so I was walking into the trailer. And so he's like, I was walking in, and there's those rugs at the top of the stairs. And I was like, okay. He's like, well, I tripped on one of those. And I hit my head. And it's definitely bleeding a lot.
Heads bleed much, by the way.
Yeah,
They
do.
really do.
Yeah. So, okay. So he's like, I put, a gauze thing on it, and then it just bled right through that. So I have another one on there. It's like, I don't want to call an ambulance because I don't think it's that bad. He's like, and if I drove slow, I could probably be fine. I was like, or don't. Just let me call someone. And so I'm talking to him on the phone, and I want to make sure that he stays conscious, blah, blah, blah. He doesn't know the address where he's staying, but he knows how to get there. So Liam starts calling our friends who were still in town. So the people who I would have called first to like help me with this situation were literally in the room with me. I couldn't call them. So we called Sharon and Matt first, and neither of them answered, which again, it's 1:30 in the morning. I'm not upset at anyone for not answering their phone. And then Liam tried to call Kate, and Kate didn't answer, so he called Stacy. Stacy is a deputy in Crawford County.
Right.
We were a little bit hopeful that she would be on duty. She wasn't on duty, but she did answer the phone. So then I sent her Glenn's number and sent Glenn her number so that Glenn could explain to her how to get to him. We live right up the street from the hospital. So Stacy went out to Frederick and picked him up and took him to the emergency room. And so I figured when he left the emergency room today that he would have just come to my house and wait for us because we were coming home, and I right around the corner, blah, blah, blah. But Stacy was so nice and took him back to Frederick.
Oh, wow.
That's one of those perks to rural living, that I was hanging out with 5 people who I trusted. A, that I have 5 people that I trusted that I could call with that.
Yeah.
That's cool. But B, that I was hanging out with 5 people who could do that and then still had 4 other people on the call list. I can't think of any other place that I've ever lived where I knew that many people who would go out of their way to be helpful.
Yeah.
So he did get some stitches in his noggin. They did a CT scan. It doesn't appear anything's like majorly wrong. And then he sent me a picture earlier. I checked in on him when we got back into town. I was like, hey, how you doing? We're back in town. Do you need me to bring you anything? He's like, no, I'm good. I'm back at work, because he's working on this project. And I was like, what? And then he sent me a picture of him at work. I was like, what are you doing? Yeah. So just.
Can I tell you a story about something kind of embarrassing / funny that happened to me this week?
Yeah.
So I went to Lansing, whatever day that was, Thursday night, and got there really late because as didn't leave here till like probably 8.
Yeah,
and then
I think it was close to 8.
Then I stopped at a gas station to get gas and clean my windshield. then someone I knew like showed up at the gas station and happened to say hi because he didn't know that I didn't work for the city anymore, even though he works in that building. So we ended up having a very long conversation, which delayed me even more. But yeah, I think I pulled into my hotel at like maybe 11:30 midnight. By then I was tired and I'm like, I don't feel like parking and then carrying all my shit. I'm doing valet. I don't care. So I just pull up. So I'll paint the picture. So my car has a vanity plate on it and it says Joe
Which I
Bros
forget
1.
every time.
Joe Bros 1 is my license plate. And I also have my doggy is in here now. Hi, Rico. I also have little tag of them looking from my rear view mirror, Jonas Brothers, in case people were wondering. And
In case no one
then,
noticed Nick behind you.
right, it was so funny and stupid.
Ooh.
And then I just happened to be wearing a Jonas Brothers t-shirt because I was in my comfy driving all day clothes. And as I pulled up, I was on the phone with Trevor and we were arguing about donuts because Friday was Johnny Appleseed Day at school for Calvin.
Yeah.
And there was a sign up, as you did with your spaghetti. I signed up for donuts for the class because I wanted to make sure no one got donuts with nuts on them because of my kid's allergy. All the other stuff was pretty safe, so I was the one kind of doing that. Anyway, I was arguing with him about donuts, and I'm like, I am sitting here at the hotel. The valet is standing right outside of my door. Can we please talk about this later? So as I hang up on the phone, I open my door to say, sorry, and the radio blasts on because I had been on a phone call and it's Jonas Brothers. And yeah. And then my phone looks like this. Let's see what I mean, seriously, there's something wrong with me. We all know this. Okay, so that's the picture.
One day we're gonna have to stage an intervention for Lindsey.
So them my information and they bring out a luggage cart for me. I'm like putting all my stuff on the luggage cart and everything is just like in shambles and I'm just a hot mess. And eventually it's time to give me my little valet ticket. And before they give it to me, they're like, quick question. Why are you so dedicated to the Jonas Brothers? Like, yeah, I know. I guess because I like looked at my shirt. I'm like, wow, this is intense, isn't it? And I'm like, midlife crisis. Are they like in town or something? I'm like, no, it's
just my everyday.
And every time I walked by the valet stand, I felt so embarrassed. The next day, I made it a point to walk by in all my regular clothes with little to no Jonas Brothers showing my persona. I wanted to make sure they knew I was not completely ridiculous. So anyway, that was fun.
Nice.
And
it's beautiful.
Not that anyone is wondering, but the Ramada, or what used to be the Ramada in downtown Lansing, used to be pretty sketchy. They redid it, and it's a DoubleTree by Hilton, and it's super nice now.
So the
So
one
give
right
another
across
chance.
from the Capitol, right across from the Capitol.
It is.
Yeah, I stayed there before, like a few times.
Yeah, I mean, it was okay before.
The bar downstairs was kind of sad. The first time that I stayed there, a small group of us from our community that went down to Lansing, one of the people I was with was this lovely German lady, and she introduced with Coke. And it's freaking delicious. Yeah, like a Coca-Cola, like a soda. And like it's like a 50-50, or you can adjust that for whatever you feel like makes you happy. We did it just as like a 50-50, and it was delicious. I enjoyed it, and it was weird.
What do you even call that? It's kind of like a
I don't know.
screwdriver, but not. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if it has a name, but apparently it's like pretty popular. Like a common
In Germany?
German thing, yeah. It's like not an unusual thing.
They redid the entire building, and I was at the bar. I met a friend. I was sharing my life story as one does. I was seeing a really good friend of mine that I haven't seen in a while, and he was in my wedding and stuff. And so just having some like real conversations, which the bartenders are overhearing. And clearly at one point we're like, oh, these people are kosher. Like we can say whatever we want around them. They're not going to be pissed or whatever. This one kid is standing behind the counter, and I don't know. He was the the soda gun, and like put lemonade in his cup, and he like takes a sip of it, and all of a sudden he's like, "This lemonade tastes like shit." Super loud, and I just started laughing. It was funny.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of hotels, so I'm going to Chicago. I found a person to go with me.
Yay! Yeah. I am kind of bummed that I can't go because I have to be in Milwaukee on Monday anyways.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So I could have just like, I don't know,
The
mini
Palmer
vacay?
House.
Oh,
We're staying at the Palmer House, which is another Hilton property.
Liam has a very funny story about that hotel.
Ooh, trying to get those rewards. So yeah, staying there, and the friend that I'm going with is seriously kind of just an acquaintance. Like I'd say a close-ish acquaintance. Like we've hung out sometimes, but
Okay.
not on the regular. So when I was booking the room, I'm like, okay, 2 double beds, obviously, and there was an option to book a room with 2 bathrooms. And I was like, I'm doing this just because I'm very
Interesting.
curious about that situation.
I am also curious about that situation. I would like to know more.
I sent her a text so I could poop at the same time.
I bet she loved that.
She did for sure. What's the story about the Palmer House?
So I think that it's the Palmer House that this happened at. Liam, let's just say selective memory. He remembers it how it's most convenient for that moment. But it's generally the same story. Okay. He and his friends were going on a trip to do a thing, and they're young. They're like teenagers. Get to Chicago and realize like they don't have a hotel. And so Liam's dad calls to try and book them something. And so he calls the Palmer. And the thing to know about Liam's dad, he was very much a like just path of least resistance. Just what it doesn't matter what it costs, just make it a thing, which is fascinating to me because Liam has a similar affect sometimes. He calls it the Gosling travel. Like you don't have to worry about it, just buy it when you get there. And I'm like, that's no, or pack it before you go. His dad calls and gets this reservation. They show up to get checked in, whatever, and they put him in this really nice suite. And Liam's like, fuck yeah. So then they leave to go do whatever stuff and things, and they come back. And there seems to have been some confusion with the room because their keys don't work anymore. And so someone else has now been checked into that room and their stuff got moved. And Liam describes it as being moved to a literal broom closet. Apparently, they stayed in the smallest room. It had 2 double beds. There was like 6 or 7 of them. They all just like, piled in there and were sleeping on the floor. He was like, it was a closet. And so, yeah, that's silly story. And I'm pretty sure it's the Palmer that this story is about. Because as soon as you said it, like, it immediately rang in my noggin. So I think it was that. And Liam doesn't listen, so he'll never correct me. His sister listens. Maybe she will. Maybe she'll be like,
If you remember.
Yeah. She also may be like, you know what? I don't know the truth anymore either.
Right. Yeah, I'm so excited. Okay, hold on.
That's not true. When we went to Seattle, it took me 900 years to get into my room, but I think that was true for everyone. I was not the last person to get a room that night. That's for sure. When we went to...
I don't even remember what that hotel looked like.
You had a room. Kelsey had come in like a day earlier.
She had her stepmom with her, didn't she?
Her stepmom was with her, yeah.
God, because I remember people, I think like someone talked about going to get oysters amongst her crowd. And I was like, no thanks.
No, maybe you were the one who was there the day before us, so you already had a room. But that first night that I got there, I had dinner with my cousin David. And so, like, I got there and it was, I don't know, 6 or 7, something. And they're like, oh, the rooms aren't ready. It's going to be a little while. And I was like, NBD, I'm going to go have dinner with my cousin. I'll just leave my bags here. Worry about it when I get back. And so then it was probably like 10:30 or 11 before I got back and still did not have a room. Like, it was 2 a.m. before I got a room.
Wow.
Yeah, it was wild. It was exhausting. And there were still people, like there were other people still waiting for their rooms.
When I checked out today, or not today, yesterday, hello, as always, this is just the way I roll. Rae knows this. General people in my life know this, but I was running a little late.
Interesting. Tell me more. Uncharacteristic of you.
It was like 10 minutes to 11 checkout time, and I'm like, I'm not going to be ready. And so I call the front desk, and I'm like, hey, can I get a late checkout? And they're like, I'm sorry, but we're like overbooked and really busy and we can't do any today. And I'm like, oh, okay, sorry. So I hang up the phone. I'm like, well, I'm just going to be late. Like, nothing I can do. But if they're so busy, maybe they won't notice. But I was in Lansing and I forgot that it was, of course, they were overbooked. MSU played yesterday. It was a football game. So as I got into the lobby, there were so many Spartan lovers, and it was kind of cute because people just take over everything, and it's just such a culture. It's kind of fun, but yeah, I hope no one had to wait that long for their room because I was 20 minutes late.
I doubt it. Like, unless you stopped housekeeping, like,
right.
No.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I mentioned the Chicago thing, and I just want to share with the crowd because I'll probably have things to talk about, like, post this happening.
Yeah.
But, like, I don't know if I told you that the event is more than just the one, like, speaker that I wanted to go see. It's called the Marshall's Good Stuff Social Club. Have you, like, ever heard of that before this?
I've seen promotional things for it, but I don't know anything about it. It was probably at a different conference. So
maybe. Essentially, the goal of it is giving women access to experts, tools, and resources as far as being entrepreneurs and whatnot. So it's in Chicago. They've done one in New York and I think Atlanta. And the whole thing is completely free. I did not pay a penny for any of these sessions. So there's like a meet your mentor match, like where you can speed date for like a business mentor. And then creating confidence with a color analysis, aka what kind of clothing to wear to flatter your colors, your palette. The one thing that I wanted to go to, creating the catalyst to getting the good stuff in life, because the speaker, in my mind, I feel like this is a huge deal, but it's Priyanka Chopra. And despite the fact that she happens to be married to a Jonas brother, I find her incredibly impressive. I've read her book, and she is one of those women to look up to for a lot of people, especially people in India, having been Miss Universe once upon a time, starring in so many shows and movies at this point. And she's a producer. And I mean, like, she's a fucking killer businesswoman and definitely someone to look up to. So when I saw that she was going to be there, I'm like, wait, this is way too good to be true. But the tickets were free and I got some, and I'm so excited to see her in person. But adapting to your way to success, I don't know what that's going to be. Finding financial stability with your rich BFF, fulfillment by going beyond happiness, showing up with confidence. Like, so it's like all day thing. And they say they give you premium giveaways and food and yeah, I don't know. Like, so it's going to be really fun. And the person that's going with me is her own business. She's a CPA. And yeah, she said yes. So that's exciting. We're going to stay in a fancy hotel, and I get to see Priyanka Chopra in the flesh and wonder why I don't look like that. And she's 2 years older than me. Why don't I look like that? Oh, I don't know, because I'm not a fucking beauty queen actress. A friend recently was like, stop being so hard on yourself. Unless it's your job to look skinny, especially as you age, there are just some things that are going to change and you can't do much about it. Like, it's not that big of a deal. And I'm like, wouldn't it be nice if that was your job, though? I guess that's one of the great things about being famous is like having to look good,
Yeah.
even though that's horrible and there's a lot of things wrong with that. But like, if it means you're getting jobs, staying healthy, I don't know. I don't even know if that would be enough to motivate me because apparently nothing will motivate me. Not even like maybe having diabetes. So,
The diabetes.
although thankfully I'm not pre-diabetic now, so that's good. Thanks to losing 20 pounds or something.
Good job, buddy.
Yeah, what's going on over there?
So we start trivia this week on Tuesdays. I was going to say, dear friends, if you hang out in the Grayling area on Tuesdays, the Society of Smarty Pants would like to formally invite you to join us for pub trivia. It's 5 rounds at Dead Bear Brewing, and it starts at 6:30 most Tuesdays, October through April. You can find us on the interwebs where our schedule is posted on the Book of Faces. So we start on Tuesday, and Tasha is supposed to do this first week, but she was overwhelmed when we were talking about it yesterday. I still have 2 weeks to finish my quiz, and I've probably got 2 written now because I got home and I told her yesterday, I was like, okay, if you don't want to do the first one, I can trade you. Because my quiz is almost done. I'll force myself to finish it before Tuesday. So I came home today with the assumption that I needed to finish my quiz today. So then I got into it, and I got a lot of rounds. I got several rounds done, which is helpful because I'm sure it'll buy me time somewhere else. So I sent her a follow-up a couple hours ago. Do I need to be ready on Tuesday? I just want to check in. And she said no. She called her husband, drove her home today. And so she spent some time in the car doing her quiz.
That's
so
fun.
it's like, it's a 4-hour drive, 3.5-hour drive. So, so yeah, she was just letting me know that no, I don't have to be ready for Tuesday. That is not my responsibility this week, which is nice.
Okay. These dogs. It's okay.
It's Calliope's fault. She got Muppet riled up. And then Molly and Rico obviously had to chime in.
It's fine. Just cover back up.
Which is so funny. My dogs cannot hear your dog because I have my headphones on.
Yeah.
So it's just funny to like, obviously your dog can hear to them. But my dogs don't hear his answers.
That's
Sorry.
sad.
I'm sorry, Rico.
Your little messages are falling on deaf ears. The ones that would understand you anyway.
Yeah. Sorry, Rico.
I mentioned my dream.
Yes.
It's so dumb. I had a dream that I was going to be on American Idol.
Ready, go.
Okay. I had a dream that I was going to be on American Idol. It's
The camera's on.
Wait, does he not have pants? Is he not decent?
He just doesn't have a shirt on.
Oh, yeah.
I was just being polite to him.
Keep that to yourself, though, Mr.
Because I have walked into his office not appropriately dressed while his camera was on. And then he like turns around and is mortified at me like, the camera's on. I'm like, so I just like, make a point now. Yeah. Fortunately, he has a giant fucking head and a big chair. So when he turned around, it was fine.
Does he have one of those gamer chairs? Like those big tall ones?
No, it is tall, but it's just a mesh ergonomic ones. Yeah.
Because we're old.
Yeah, your dream. You're going to be on American Idol.
I know, but
I don't know. Okay. Baby Muppet will be quiet now because she got to go outside. You were going to be on American Idol.
Yes. I say American Idol, but in my dream, it must have really been The Voice. Either one, not at all realistic for me. Actually, if anyone saw the stupid video I posted on TikTok of the
It was
Rae
adorable. It was precious.
I had so much fun watching someone else do it. I'm like, I have to do this. And it was harder than I thought it would be. And that was my second take. Clearly a good singer. So the fact that I was going to be on a show that would require talent in that department is hilarious. But I was going to be a virtual attendee, which doesn't make any sense. And I say it was The Voice because, of course, it was my chance to virtually meet Nick Jonas because he was still a judge at that point in my dream, right? And yeah, so the dumb thing that happened was because I live where I live, my internet signal wasn't strong enough. I couldn't try out, and it was really sad in my dream. I was really mad at the internet. I was mad at Liam's work.
It's his fault.
Yeah. So that was stupid.
That's beautiful.
My life is ridiculous. I probably should just move that pillow. It's not helping this seem less weird.
As previously stated, at some point we're probably going to have to stage an intervention. We know it's coming. It's fine. We have an imaginary line that I've set in my brain about when it's too much.
If I exceed it, then it's like, hey, we're done here.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
I have a friend who I met when I was in probably middle school. We did not go to the same school. We met each other maybe at the mall. I don't even remember at this point. However, the reason why we were fast friends is because we were both in love with Hanson. How many people are shocked, right? I still talk to her via social media mainly, and she has continued to follow Hanson, and be an uber fan of them into adulthood, into present time. Which, if it wasn't for her, I would have no idea that they are still making music at this point because I gracefully stepped away from being a fan.
Following a boy band?
I was on to the next. Yeah. So all of that to be said, the reason why I wanted to bring this up is because you were talking about Liam going on a trip when he was a teenager. When I was a teenager, I think I was maybe 14, 15. I had a friend that was older, so she drove. She was also a Hanson fan. Surprise, surprise. The three of us even had brother looked out for one another, so we weren't competing, but don't want to.
Like true friends.
Yeah, for sure. Zach, the drummer, he was my favorite. So and he's the youngest. Oh God, okay, anyway, he was a little younger than me, but not that bad. So we told our parents that we were just having a sleepover at each other's house, a classic movie kind of scenario.
It fucking works though.
It does.
I mean, not anymore, but it did.
Right.
It used to work.
We drove all the way. My friend believes she was driving a Ford Escort, but a old one where it was only a 2-door. You know what I mean?
Oh shit.
And we drove that shit to fucking Pittsburgh to see Hanson a mall. What? Yeah, so that. Funny. One of the core memories that sticks with me from that experience, because Hanson was coming to the mall, they were trying to not let people camp out and sleep overnight before the event, but we didn't have a hotel room, and that was our only plan. So we were trying to be stealthy, somehow got into the parking lot, and we're legitimately just there most of the night. But in the morning, when it started to get a little light out, here comes a security guard from the mall. And I remember I was laying in the back seat of this dinky car. The other two were reclined all the way back, so they were squishing me, and we were just trying to pretend we weren't in the car. We were like hiding, essentially. And eventually, the security guard gets out of his car and knocks on the window, and we're just like, "Come from?" So he kicked us out, and all of that time did not give us any sort of benefit, and we didn't even get into the mall. Yeah, yeah. I think I saw them walk through the crowd, and that was it. That was it. So, totally worth that trip. I think I pooped in a McDonald's bag also. We didn't have a hotel room. We were in a car and I had to poop. So I excused myself from the car and went behind some like pine trees that were in a corner of the mall, did my business in the McDonald's bag.
Why would you not have just like pooped on the ground?
Because I'm a decent human and I don't want to leave my fecal matter behind in a. It's not like we were in the middle of the woods. It's a mall.
So we're behind trees.
At the
So
mall.
dig a
You know
little
how
hole.
trees are planted as like landscaping outside of malls?
Yeah.
So
I too remember the night.
the Traverse City Mall seems to be relevant still, which is kind of weird. There's always people
Not
there.
anymore. The TJ Maxx is closed now. Fuck that place.
When did that happen?
It was closed when I was there a couple weeks ago when we were doing homecoming dress shopping. We went to JCP and we were walking into the mall for something to go to Macy's. Is it Macy's? Yeah. And I saw that the TJ there is closed.
It moved then because there's like a new one, I believe, over by Kohl's.
Possibly, yeah. That
I
would
saw
make
that
sense.
the other day when I was getting Chipotle.
So that mall is basically living off of like Old Navy, Macy's, JCP, and Target.
Hot Topic.
There's like 5 of those like popular stores like right off the food court. That's like basically the only ones. Like we walked a good portion of the mall between JCPenney's and Macy's, and there's half the places are empty. Yeah. So if that parking lot is full, it's because people are at fucking Target.
Yeah, pretty much. Or Macy's, maybe.
Possibly.
But I feel like no one even goes to places like that anymore.
I love Macy's, but yeah, I don't often go into the store.
Right. Do you guys see any increased activity of salmon in the river this time of year because they're coming in from the lake? Or is like that not a thing that anyone cares about?
I am confident that I know at least one person who probably does care about that, but it's not me. I don't know the answer.
So, I mean, obviously, you guys are like inland quite a ways as far as where your rivers run to, right? Because you're talking kind of across the state.
We're definitely.
Yeah. Well, I've heard about like, the salmon run and how it's a big deal, but I've never experienced it the way I did this past week. It's really interesting. So I was at City Hall of Petoskey. City Hall is in like an old like powerhouse building. So these buildings were right on the river where there was a, basically that used
Like
to
a
be the
dam.
power up for the town. And so as I got there, there's a lot of people in the park. This is a little weird. And I really wasn't paying attention to what was going on. City manager did mention that the salmon were running, and I'm like, oh, this is interesting. So there were still so many people out there. And so I go to just watch them. They're all fishing for the most part. And my first thought was, okay, you're just fishing in
A
fish bowl.
barrel full of fish.
Yeah, they are legitimately just here because they're trying to jump their dumbasses up into the river and you're fishing. How is that? How do you even feel okay about that? So then there was like, then I had the thought because one of the guys looked like he was tribal. And I was like, is he here fishing or is he here like making sure people don't take too many fish? Like, because it seems like the indigenous people probably did take advantage of this phenomenon to get a lot of food, right? I mean, why not? Had an advantage. But now it almost seems like they're exploiting. You know what I mean?
Well, I
It
know
wasn't.
over in Sheboygan, they have a 2 salmon a day limit.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah.
I wonder.
I know that because Kate and Stacey have a cottage over there.
Mhm.
And they were up there a couple weeks ago, and Stacey was telling us about it.
Hmm.
I know at least
I
there
mean,
they have a 2 fish a day limit.
seems like it would be a statewide thing based on the license, but who knows? I mean,
That
it's
does,
good to
yeah.
have a local. There were definitely people that they were taking more than 2 fish. But I guess if it was like a group of people, then you can count 2 fish per person. So I guess whatever. But like, who needs more than 2 of those giant fucking things anyway? They're so big.
Yeah.
It is so weird. All the people that were fishing legitimately looked like they were fishing for their dinner and that they needed it. Because groceries are expensive, right? Then there's like a whole bunch of tourists. I'm essentially a tourist, even though I kind of live there or here. Just like a bunch of granola old people watching and awing at like the whole situation. And these dudes are just like, oh my God, please just like go away. We're trying to fish. Get the fuck out of our way. I had to move one time because a guy had one on his line, and reeling those things in is quite,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a spectacle. So after a while, I saw a few guys pull fish up in nets because it's like necessary. So then I went over to the waterfall and I was like, I need to just like see some fish jump because it's so funny. Like
They are very, it is interesting to watch.
because they like get down in the little foam area of where the water's
Hmm.
falling and somehow like, muster up the strength to launch their entire bodies up into this waterfall. I never saw one get high enough to make it. Does this even work? Are you guys just gonna keep doing this until you die? Because no one made it. But yeah, it's just
Yeah.
fascinating. And I took really cool video and some of it's like slow-mo and I showed Calvin last night and he thought it was the funniest thing ever. So anyway,
Nice.
interesting stuff.
I think Kate was telling me in Sheboygan they don't make it over. Like the dam is too high there.
That's
I
weird.
think that's what she was saying.
Here in Charlevoix, because we have a river or stream that comes out into Lake Michigan by St. Mary's, there's a weir there that the DNR sets up so that when the salmon are running, they essentially get trapped in this big container. And because we have the DNR fisheries department here, they're taking the salmon in and harvesting eggs and stuff for repopulation.
Well, that's interesting.
We went there today to see if there was any action in the weir. We're not lucky because apparently the water is too warm and they're still out in the lake enjoying their life.
Yeah.
Good for.
Yes.
I saw a dead
Good for them.
squirrel on the beach too. It was disturbing.
On our drive down yesterday, we stopped at a rest stop because we wanted to stretch our legs and pee. And Jenny and I were scheming to capture a squirrel that was right outside our car. We were going to put a little backpack on it. We had so many plans for this squirrel. And then Liam just left. We are like, but we need the squirrel. He's like, nah. And then drove away. And he wouldn't let us catch it.
Did you name
He's
it?
so mean. I don't think so. We were too busy dressing him to name it.
I had a friend who had
Priorities.
squirrels as pets. They're really good pets.
I believe that.
He passed.
Lucas and I were sitting on the porch, so I'm gonna join. So we're sitting on the porch, so I'm gonna join. Lindsey, obviously you've been to my porch, but other people. So other people, my porch is like probably 6 feet wide, and it goes like the whole distance of the front of my house. So it's probably, I don't know, 20 feet, maybe. I'm very bad at like estimating length. So I'm sitting at one side of it and I'm looking over the edge of the other side and there's like several steps that come up and I can see the top of this white picket fence that's between my yard and the neighbors, just between our front yards. So I'm sitting there and I see what is probably a squirrel run across the top of the fence. And in that moment, what I knew in my soul was that there was a wolf in my yard.
Okay.
Did I do anything about this? Absolutely not. I waited probably 2 full minutes. And then I said to Lucas, a couple minutes ago, saw it was probably a squirrel, but what I'm pretty sure is actually a wolf at the fence over there. And he's like, I don't think so. I was so confident though. I was like, how did a wolf get there? How did I not see it go like to the back? I only saw it come out. Like, I had a lot of questions for myself before I decided to alert anyone
Yeah.
else on the porch that there might be a wolf in the yard.
And if people haven't caught on, when Rae's high, things slow down big time. It's amazing.
So slow. Yeah.
You just made me think of a time when I was house sitting for some people in the UP when I lived there for a little bit in our beautiful Upper Peninsula in Paradise. So I'm house sitting for this couple and basically watching their animals. I was watching a movie. I don't remember which one, doesn't matter. And they had like slider glass door in their living room. All of a sudden there was a wolf just walking by the slider. And I'm like, okay, that's exciting. It was in the wintertime too, so it really stood
Neat.
out.
Yeah.
It was kind of scary. It was
That sounds
big.
really cool. It sounds
Yeah.
cool.
Because coyotes, when you see coyotes, you're like, wait a minute, what? Like, why are you so small?
Yeah, it's like little dogs. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like
That's
small
just-
dog size. Yeah.
Yeah. Fox are weird too.
I think they're so cute. I get
They
excited when
are
I see their fat, fluffy tails. They're so cute.
But they're kind of scary looking. Their little eyes and knowing that they're like, I don't know, they're vicious. And
They
the
are.
sounds that they make at night are freaky. Have you ever heard a fox?
It's like kind of cryy, right?
I don't even know how. The only way I can describe it, and the way I've always described it to people who have heard it in our neighborhood. Oh, did you hear a woman screaming bloody murder? Because that's what it sounds like.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so weird. It's scary. And they just do it. And I assume they're barking? Question mark? I guess that's what you would call
What
it.
does the fox say?
A dog. Oh my god. Have you
That's
started
what the
watching
fox
Righteous
says.
Gemstone?
Yeah. I'm like 6 episodes in, bro.
Hold on. How have you not reported out?
Sorry.
Oh my god.
We were talking about this the other day at the bar, actually, because Legal also thinks that Righteous Gemstones is stupid and funny. Sharon does not think it's funny at all.
Is it because it's making fun of her heritage?
No, she doesn't like, what's his face?
John Goodman?
Not John Goodman, the eldest son.
I can't remember his name right now, but yes, he's so epic. Okay.
I think he's funny too. She does not enjoy his humor though.
Jesse is his name in the show. What's his real name? Whatever. Everyone knows.
It'll
if
come
you've
to me.
watched Righteous Gemstones, you know who we're talking about.
Yeah. So we recently watched the episodes where they roll the van.
Yeah.
And he's like, don't worry about it, babe. It's just some guy that he car pranks with. Who the fuck believes that? We just do car pranks sometimes. This is a really wild one. Really? That's who you're gonna go with?
Yeah. And how much do you love Keith?
All the much.
Oh
I
my
love him
god.
1000%.
Like, that is the perfect character.
Hey, buddy. Shirt sounds like, ew, he has the pants on.
Nice mushroom stand.
So funny. So funny.
Have you seen any of the episodes where they're in his, like, demonic club thing?
I don't think so, no.
Oh, you're in for a treat.
Yeah.
That's some good shit. He revert. Spoiler alert. And ends up back in his club scene. And it's amazing. There's so much slam dancing. It's amazing.
we're one episode after the episode where he takes them to the club because they're trying to save the one girl.
Oh, that daughter of yeah.
Yeah. So either that was the last one I watched or the one right after that.
Okay. So you did get a little taste of his club.
Yeah. A little
There's
taste of his
more.
club, yes.
There's more. And
Nice.
unfortunately for the world, there's more of his penis in that show, but it is what it is.
So I had another thing on my list here.
Yeah.
That,
I remembered what your embarrassing thing was.
yeah.
We don't have to talk about that, but
I joined your club.
did you have to
I think it
start
was the
your
last one.
You had to start your stars over?
I did.
Right,
I went so far.
too.
I got so far in my life without that being an issue.
We had 2 bathrooms.
We do.
Oh God.
Yep. Don't trust your drunk farts. It's my piece of advice to the world. Don't trust your drunk farts.
It reminds me of a guy that I saw at the Charlevoix Marathon one time who was holding a sign that said, "Don't trust a fart after mile 3." Best sign I've ever seen.
Nice. So
And that is
a fart.
that's an
mile
accurate
3.
like when you're running that much, you tend to shit yourself sometimes or like have really bad.
Well, like gets the bowels moving. Like when you move your body, all of your body moves. Which this is actually a primo segue because the thing I wanted to talk about was your guts going back into place after things. Okay, so the other day we ended up going to Run Club at Rolling Oak. And it's also the gold member night, which we're gold members. So we get 2 mug club nights a week, which Thursday is our gold one. So it was like, okay, well, we'll go for a beer and check in with our friends, blah, 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 right? Be social for a minute. Nope. That is not how that night played out. But before this shit hit the fan.
Which fan?
Because Liam, the carbonation from beer and stuff, Liam feels his intestines differently because they took stuff out. Said it because he had abdominal surgery, right?
Yeah.
He mentioned something about that and was like, yeah, it's one of the weirdest feelings is like feeling my guts move because they're still settling into place. I was like, yeah, you should try having a baby.
I was just going to say.
And so then I had to explain everything is displaced. All of the things are displaced.
And assaulted while they're displaced.
So like I was like, and then like
tiny human.
You get rid of the baby, everything is still in the wrong place. And it's been in the wrong place for so long that it's like, fuck, where do we belong? You have a baby and you're expected to be up and moving. Chippity chop chop, get at it.
So keep this very fragile thing of life that you just created alive.
So, and these are things I did not say out loud during this conversation, but they're things that have been in my brain now since having this conversation. And I'm like, hold on. When you had your surgery, you literally, for 2 weeks, have been taking it easy. You spent the first 7 full days just getting to chill out. I don't want to discount pain or discomfort, any of those things. Okay. I don't, because I totally get it. Like they're different experiences. It's fine. And so I was just thinking about that for 7 days.
Yeah.
Literally didn't do shit. And here we are 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks later. And he's like, yeah, everything still feels really weird because, they move my guts around. And so this is the point in the conversation where I was just like, tell me more. And so since then I've been thinking about that. You have a baby and that day you're up and moving. You're doing the shit. You're in it. Your whole insides, all the things inside your body are in the wrong place.
Yep.
You had just had a brawl, like style brawl in your intestines, in your belly. All the things are beat to shit.
For multiple months.
Yeah. But then get at it. Just, you don't get 7 days to lay around and do nothing.
Right.
take care of this thing. And if there's another disclaimer, like, when I came home with Atticus, Liam was a very good partner. He took care of us, blah, blah, blah. I'm not complaining about that.
Yeah.
I'm not even complaining about him being down for so many days because I
Right.
understand, like, he was in pain, even if he is a little bit.
Of a baby.
Yeah.
I'm joking.
So,
I said it.
but like overall, like, I know this is not groundbreaking or anything. We all know that a double
Yeah.
standard exists for women.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
and so that's been on my brain for the last several days. I should tell Liam that I'm annoyed by his stupid thing. And I was like, what value would that bring?
Yeah.
Like, none. It's not his fault.
No.
And he didn't say something insensitive. He said something accurate. So he didn't do anything wrong, but I just have that feminist rage.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Why?
It
But
was
that
just,
also led me to, I read this book a while back, but how medicine is not designed for women. Safety is not
Weird.
designed for what? Oh, the Invisible Woman. That's the name of the book. Invisible Woman.
Okay.
But yeah, it's it's a whole book on how everything is tested for the average male. So yeah.
hormones. Like, I wonder why every time I get my hormones checked, everything's fine. But
'Cause
it's not.
the right scale.
Right.
Part of that, I don't remember if this is in Invisible Woman or not, but because I was in that frame of mind, these are things like that have cycled through like my media as well. Because once you look for one thing, then it all. Apparently, for a significant amount of time, feminine product producers only tested products with saline and not a more like viscous blood type liquid. They didn't even bother to use real blood. It would make sense. Like, we're not shedding saline. That's not what's coming out. Why would you test with that? Those are not the same at all. Because of this dumb conversation on Thursday, that led me to re-examine the book. I read the book maybe 2 years ago. So like then to re-examine the book, and then obviously that gets so then more information about it pops up in my spaces, and one of the things that came up was how for a significant amount of time producers of feminine products were misleading, essentially. Like, they had bad data on how effective or absorbent a product was. So yeah,
I actually have something of value to add to this. It was more of so I was having a conversation with someone. It was a meeting, but somehow we ended up on the birth story topic. And turns out both of us had C-sections when we had our kid. And so we were talking about how weird that experience was and how you don't really get any real extra time. Like, if you've gotten a C-section, like, they cut your actual stomach open and like cut muscles, right?
Yep.
And you just have to bounce back as quickly as if you had a vaginal birth. And sometimes things don't go well with that either. But either way, like, you had surgery, abdominal surgery, and they pulled a human out of your uterus.
And they're like,
And
okay,
then,
good luck.
Yeah. And
Liam loses half an ounce of a useless organ. They're like, stay in bed for 7 days.
You better not move. Right. Yeah. Inconvenience your whole family for multiple weeks, please. So the funny thing that in that conversation, because then we also got on the topic of like, not only have you just given birth and you're like physically healing from that, whether it's cesarean or vaginal, but then you have this little tiny being who has most definitely like overstimulated you on a number of occasions, right? Because you're dealing with crying and just all the things. And they're like, if you're breastfeeding, like, then they're always touching you, like, that you're just like overdone. And then our husbands are like, hey, and you wonder why. Like, she said this, like, I don't know if they were the exact words, but it cracked me up. She's like, if my husband was sitting next to me and I could hear him chewing, I wanted to set him on fire. At my 6-week checkup appointment with my female physician, she said, good news, you can have sex now. Oh, really? Is that good news? Can we reassess? Rest that. Like, that's the last thing. Woman, you just wait. Oh my God, I can't wait.
See, I'm
Are
not
you
gonna say I
weird?
was like, oh my God, I can't wait. But you are fertile fucking myrtle,
I
and
know
you
you're
have
going.
so many conflicting hormones that it's not hard to. And my kids are very close together,
Mhm.
and so I get and I remember going to that appointment
Mhm.
and then being like, okay, you're good now, and I'm just like, cool. In that moment when I was there, whatever, great.
Yeah,
Didn't care about it in that
right.
moment. But
And it always seems like a big announcement,
yeah,
but
for all of the same reasons that you just listed, that you are like, no, I don't give
Mhm.
a shit about sex. Those are also all the same reasons that I'm like, yeah, sex sounds great. Because overstimulated by all the other things, you just want that. Well, for me, you just want that like singular attention.
Mm.
And so I got to stop being the person had to provide everything.
Mhm.
And I got to just be a taker for a little bit, which for me personally is a thing that matters. So
I'm
I
so happy
do,
for you.
I totally get the like, great, yeah, can have sex, wonderful, cool. I
Yeah.
get the not thinking that it's that great of an announcement when it's made.
Mhm.
But I also for all the same reasons, like get why it can definitely be quite a relief for some people.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I'm really happy for you. Like I said,
I'm sad for you now. I was sad for
it's
you
fine.
before. It's fine. This is not our first conversation about this. Yeah. Yeah.
Bang, bang, goes the Cougar Magnum. And I've been bang.
If you like this episode, please remember to subscribe to our podcast and head to doublechinswagon.com to learn how you can email or call our hotline to share your thoughts on our recent discussions. We love to interact with you and are always looking for guests as well. Thanks so much for listening. Now go and live your best life today.